What's going on, people? We are Tottenham TV back here for another Tottenham update. We got Brains in the house with us today. How you doing, Brains? You doing well? Happy with the signing so far?
Pretty happy. I tell you what, when I saw I was dubious about Maddison because I thought like he didn't like Spurs, and then when you see him with his family and he's got like buying the little one a jumper and his whole family getting pictures with Spurs tops on, won me over, man. Got a little choked up there.
It's looking good so far. I mean, we've still got a lot of work to do, which we'll get into in a second. But I think the work that we've done so far, for it being like at the end of June, I think it's pretty good. Can't really, not too many complaints.
No, not at all. It's kind of like a bit weird that we're being so proactive. It's not like us, but I love how Vicario and Maddison turn up, and it's an American football ground. Like, yeah, welcome. How's
you can't write this shit with Tottenham Hotspur.
Yeah.
Anyway,
crazy.
Let's get into the news, and let's start off with Edmund Tapsoba. Ali Gold says that Tottenham do hold a strong interest in Edmund Tapsoba as their main central defensive target, as well as Mickey van de Ven. But Ben Jacobs says that Tottenham have explored a deal with Mickey van de Ven on the player side, and they already have held talks with his representatives. Tottenham are more advanced at this point than Liverpool, and sources indicate that he's very high up on Tottenham's list of targets, and it's more advanced on Mickey van de Ven than Edmund Tapsoba at this current moment in time. So which one would you prefer?
You know, I really like VDV, as I'm calling him, although Mickey is probably easier. But I just like he could be that that replacement for Jan. You know, he's got that vibe. He's like got that bit of a warrior vibe by him. Like, you know, when you see that clip of him, you know, running all the way back from a corner to like stop an open goal, a la Super Ben Davies. The speed of him, and but like also like the passion and like drive to be like, nah, you're not scoring this goal. Like, I'm gonna stop you. I love that. So I think he's got that. I mean, you look at him and you think like, if we're talking about lack of captains, I know you wouldn't bring a guy straight in, but he does have that vibe that, you know, he could be that super strong guy at the back. I almost do think from the eye test, like obviously you can, I sometimes think you can like overanalyze stats. It's, you know, if your players are playing in different leagues, they got different partner next to them, different players in front of them, it gets difficult to consider.
Different systems, you know,
different. It's like he could have a Harry Winks in front of him. That's why he's not passing there, you know. So, but I just from looking at just the way that they seem to handle themselves under pressure, I did think like Mickey van de Ven is actually my favorite so far. Then it was Tapsoba, you know. So, but I really like Tapsoba as well. I think, yeah, I think he's got the minerals. But I was leaning towards Mickey van de Ven.
I was having this debate with Sim. Like, I was saying that not because I didn't want it, but just because I didn't think Spurs would do it, of bring both of them in this same window. I mean, that would be the dream, wouldn't it? Because you've got both of them are versatile in different ways, where Tapsoba can play right or left centre back, and Mickey van de Ven can fill in at left back, maybe when we're playing that inverted role from the left, and he can also play left centre back. So I mean, when you're looking at the prices for both players, 40, 45 million for Tapsoba, they're talking about 20 to 30 million for Mickey van de Ven. I mean, we should be going all out to get both of them in.
Yeah, because if you think about last season, how much of a failure it was in our team that our defense let that many unforced errors, that many goals against. Like, it's just solve this problem. Just go and solve it. And if you've got two players right there, you have personal terms seeming to be like across the line with both clubs wanting to kind of chat and carry on conversations. Like, just get it done. Like, make a statement, get it done, get them in, and then you can deal with like getting the other players out and try and get a bit of money back. But I think they should be looking at like, I mean, and even with Tosin, I don't want to go on him just yet. It looks like all the options that we've been looking at are actually perfect for what we need. Yeah. And that's rare for us. We're actually doing the very right thing that we need to be doing. But then don't do the thing that we've done in the past and mess it up. Just get them. Like, do what you've done with Vicario, do what you've done with Maddison. Just be different, please. Just get them across the line. You know,
like, I remember the beginning of last transfer window, we were sitting here saying the same thing. Maybe not getting the players that we specifically need because we weren't looking at centre backs, but we did our business early and we weren't like dilly-dallying around players and bargaining. That came a bit later on in the window. So I hope it's not like a repeat of last window where we just suddenly just stop and then like twiddle our thumbs for the rest of the window.
Yeah, because there's going to be some sagas and stories that go on for the rest of this window. Looking at all of our kind of potential outgoings, you can see that is going to take time. You can see that it's like agents fighting, players not wanting to go. It's going to be a real struggle. There's going to be big decisions that have to be made. Spend all your energy doing that after you get the squad. Get Ange's squad has like basically 24 players, and then deal with that. Like give the players a first week to try and impress them, but you can only take so many on preseason as well.
Yeah, very true. But let's talk about the next defender that we're linked with, which is Tosin Adarabioyo. Ali Gold says he does remain high on Tottenham's list of potential central defender moves this summer. Spurs have been weighing up Adarabioyo very closely for some time, and especially much of last season, and are now weighing up a move potentially during this window. And with 1 year left in his contract, I think you could probably get about 10 million or something like that. That would be a steal for someone like Adarabioyo. I think he's got such quality. He can play that kind of competition to Romero on the right-hand side of the defense. So what do you make out of Tosin compared to the other two that we spoke about?
I'm not going to lie. From what I've seen of him last season, I think he had a better season than Romero. So whether or not you're saying like what's his ceiling, I think he's young. Like his ceiling's huge. Like if you get him in a team and he loves being there, I think, when I started hearing words about Romero being unhappy, if you do get a Van de Ven, a Tapsoba, and a Tosin, players who all want to be in the Prem, this is where their careers brought them, that just makes everyone feel better. And that's that classic thing of what Ange was saying. Remember, he anyone doesn't be here, see you later. We don't care that you think you're a massive 60 million player. So I think if you can get a player who's equal to a 60 million defender that we just spent money on for 10, 15 million, I think you make that deal regardless, by the way. I think you get Tosin regardless of the other two. Yeah. Because when are you going to get a chance again to do that? So sometimes it's not just doing business for what you need in the team. It's doing business for what you need over the next 5 seasons, But
even now, it's like we do need them in the team because on the right hand side defense now, who do we have? Romero. Who can play there apart from Romero? Dyer needs to get gone. All these defenders that we have literally need to get gone. So imagine we replaced Dyer, Sanchez, and Roden for those three. I mean, you're talking about worlds and worlds and worlds apart of defenders.
Yeah,
and that puts us straight back up there, in my opinion.
Can you imagine going into the stadium on the first game of the first home game of the season, thinking what was it like last season? Every time we'd hook up before the games, we're like, oh my god, do you see the starting lineup?
Sim will be predicting a win. You would be trying to call yourself.
We'd be trying to convince everyone that we're going to win with Sanchez. It's like, he's going to convince everyone that Richarlison's going to get a hat trick today. It's like, shut up. No, but it's like, can you imagine going in thinking who cares who's number one starter at centre back? They're all good. And that's amazing. That's how you have to, if you want to do well this season. We're looking at other teams bringing in really powerful players in their midfields and going for attack. We already have the best attack in the league. We need to make the best defense. So, God, if we got Born Slippy out, if we got Dyer and Tanganga and Roden, I feel for the guy because I thought he probably always did have a bit of something in him. But if we can get all them out and just have 3 or 4, if you had 3 of those 3 names we talked so far, and then you actually bring some academy lads up. So if anything does happen, you give an academy lad a go,
Yeah, completely agree. Dorrington should be probably our 5th choice. With those 4 as our first 4 and Dorrington as our 5th, I mean, that would be brilliant. I mean, everyone else should be shipped out the door. But that's I mean, for me, that's fantasy, though, because that ain't happening this window. I think 1, maybe 2, if we're lucky. I will probably get.
That's our Spurs brains, our Spurs fan brains thinking like that, because it's we're so used to that. We're looking at 4 great. That's Paratici model. We're looking at 5 great players. We're only going to get 1. Oh, we might not even get that one all of a sudden. Let's go for another tacker then. Let's
get Longley on loan back.
Yeah, it's if Bayer Leverkusen value Tapsoba at that price, and to be fair, how well he's done with them, and how everyone, like, their fans rave about him, like how well he's played this last season, which really his breakthrough season. Like, I think get him then. Like, why are we afraid to pay 40 million? We've got Romero, who is obviously Serie A defender this season. Always depends on where you're playing right enough. Atalanta are very good at developing really strong centre backs. Then why are we stumbling over? You're wondering who we should get out of these players. If you've got these three players, you've got, I say if you get Tosin in, I think he could be a 40, 50 million defender the season after. So you think about the profit you're going to make. So you're getting Mickey Van Ven like pretty cheap if you ask me. And then you get you pay for the one marquee centre back, and then you get two really. You're essentially getting three players for the price of two world-class centre backs, and they could all be world-class eventually.
When you're looking at like Arsenal signing 105 million on Declan Rice, and then we could sign three top defenders, and there will be top defenders for years to come for less than that. It's mental.
Yeah, and they're going to go for timber as well, so they're probably going to spend like 200 million, on two players. It looks like, So we should if we can get three players for like 70 million, like. That's incredible.
We got to get it done. It'd be so stupid not to at those prices. But let's move on. Let's talk about some attacking players now. Alex Scott, Ben Jacobs says that Tottenham and Wolves are the front runners for Alex Scott at this stage. Plenty of other clubs have looked, but no one is as high up in the queue as of Wolves and Tottenham. And the deal could be done for around £25 million. I mean, that's a great deal for Alex Scott, isn't it?
Yeah, it's huge. I'm in a group with the kids I grew up with like my whole life, and they're Liverpool, Manchester United. They're like, we just like rip each other to shreds. But they live in Bristol, so that's their home club. So they go and see Bristol every week, and they're like, look, don't look at the goals. Don't look. He rips teams apart week in, week out. He gets brung down all the time before. That's how dangerous he is. He's like a kind of young Maddison. He's like a Grealish. Like, they're just like, don't look. He runs games. Don't look at like the assists or whatever. Like the way they talk about him is like, he'll go down and pick up the ball from the center back and run it and guard it the whole way around the pitch, like a Bentancur type thing. Even though he might hit the ball twice in that movement, you'll see he's there guiding it around. So that's like a lot of like top quality off the ball work, which doesn't really get factored into a creative player. People forget that about creatives, that you actually have to be kind of world class off the ball. So I think 25 million. The fact that he loves the club, he's a Spurs boy.
Yeah,
he wants to be here. He's been waiting for the phone. His whole thing is, I want to go from here to Spurs. Like, and everyone knows that. He spoke about it loads. It's like, get him in. Like, I know that you got Maddison for an incredible price. You probably could have paid 65 million for Maddison. So if you get Maddison, Winks out for 10, and then Alex Scott for 25, again, that's like you've solved the 3-player triangle for the case of one or two players. It's brilliant.
For me, like, there's actually a space for him though, because when you're looking at a 4-3-3 system for next season, right? You're probably looking at, in one position, Bentancur and Sarr fighting for the other for one position. You've got one position, maybe Bissouma and Skip fighting. But this is assuming Højbjerg goes. And then one position, you've got Maddison, and you don't really have anyone to fight for his spot.
Yeah.
So Alex Scott, to provide competition for Maddison, I think those 6 midfielders would be perfect to fight against each other, and mostly interchangeable as well.
Yeah, and like, obviously they won't all start, like, but I think they'll all play like a lot. Like, you take Maddison off, you run him into the ground for 70 minutes and take him off, and then you bring Alex Scott in to do some magic for that. Because we're talking about, we needed Maddison because he can unlock defenses. Then, by God, watch how Alex Scott does it. Like, and obviously we're talking about a jump up, but I don't know if you watched the Man City game. Alex Scott run them ragged. He was like, do you know what I mean? It was kind of amazing to see. Obviously, you're looking at him like he's struggling at the quality around him, but he shines so brightly, no matter who he's playing. If you can get him in, man, again, it's not the deal for now. It's the deal for, you've got a Grealish for, you've got a 100 million player. And I think Alex Scott is a 100 million player in 5 years. So get that deal done now. If you're talking about, if we have to think about life after Harry Kane, we've got Matters, get Alex Scott. That's potential world-class, like, players there. So for me, it makes complete sense. It's just are they thinking, like, it kind of looks like they are. If you look at the names that they're lining up and the prices and our intentions and how far down the line personal agreements and conversations have been, it looks like they are thinking not just for now, but like this rebuild for the next 5 years. Then Alex Scott's 100% perfect then.
Yeah, it's looking like they've basically gone back to maybe a different approach, but the same kind of model we had when Pochettino first came to the club, where we bought young and tried to build them up. And I think that's the model that we always had to be in with the way Daniel Levy does run the club. But moving on, Manor Solomon is the next player we're going to talk about. And Nazar Kinsella says that Shakhtar Donetsk loanee Manor Solomon could leave Fulham, with Tottenham interested in hijacking their free transfer bid. For Manor Solomon with a free transfer, you taking it?
I mean, it's a free. It's hard to like. It depends what his wages are, but if you're talking about, do I think he's better than Gill? Yes. Do I think he's like on equal paring with a young Lucas Moura? Like, yeah, he's got a lot of good stuff in him. Like, he didn't really play enough for Fulham in like the half of a season that we kind of got to see him. But if he's the type of player, if he's got a bit of confidence, if his players around, if he's having a good time, he can come in and do bits. Like, he obviously won't start, but he could be a very handy player if he's free. I see, like, if it's such low risk, why go out and spend and really, like, try break the bank for some incredible attacker, unless there is the right one. If we are going to get rid of Kane, all of this conversation changes, right? Like, then you're bringing in everyone at that point, you know what I mean? But, like, I do think that he's got something special in him. He's the type of guy that can carry a team in attack, but it's how he adapts to the rest of the players in the team as well. But I like what I see.
I like it. I mean, he had that one spell this season. I think 5-6 games in a row he scored, but
yeah,
he was barely. I don't understand why he didn't kick on from there. He kind of came out of the team and was a bit inconsistent when he did play after that.
Yeah.
But as a free transfer, when you're looking at the options we have on the right and the left-hand side, on the left, you're probably looking at Sonny. No one else really natural there. I think I prefer Hill more on the right than I do on the left, to be honest.
Yeah.
On the right-hand side, you've got Kulusevski, you've got Porro that can play there. You can play Hill that can play there. So I guess there is a room for someone that is more natural on the left. And
yeah,
when we did see Solomon and the goals he scored, they were all like carbon copies of those goals that Son scores. And he would cut to the left and just whips them into the top corner. And maybe it's a good alternative to Son that we can have in the cup games that brings us something similar.
Yeah. I don't think you're going to lose. If he's coming in as a Son alternative in the odd cup game, he's going to want to like play his heart out, like. And if Son does go through these little bouts of, next season, which I can't really imagine that he will, because I think without the injury, he's going to go back to full form. But if he does, you've got someone who's dying for their chance and who is actually like, he's good. He's not. Yeah. It's not like you're not putting someone who's not game ready and like he plays at like international level. He carries his team. He is the Hazard of his nation, so I think it's worth it. There's no real gamble, is there? It's like a free, you don't have to go out and look for a Lucas replacement. You don't have to go out, what I mean? It's just get him in.
Yeah, agreed. Let's talk about Harry Kane now, as David Ornstein gave us an update today saying that Bayern Munich will come back for Harry Kane this summer, but Tottenham are expected to dismiss all offers. Levy has no intention to sell Harry Kane at all this summer and has maintained that position. I mean, he has to maintain that position though, doesn't he?
Of course, yeah. Yeah, he does, but like,
how do you see it playing out?
Ben Jacobs said something interesting about like it's not really for if you think about how Levy looks at it, he doesn't worry about Kane's got a year and then he's going to walk, because Levy, if he's got a good relationship with Kane, which it might be a little bit frayed, we don't really know, but Levy and Kane can do a pre-agreement to an agreement, right? So they can do what Kane will sign you for 3 more years.
That worked well for Kane in the past, didn't it?
Yeah, but the problem with that is Kane didn't do the pre-agreement. He did a handshake. Whereas this time you go, look, because I want you to get the 100 million from me, I will sign a 2-year extension or a 2-year contract, but I want in writing an agreement that if any team comes and pays 100 million, I go, or 80 plus add-ons, I go, But this right now, obviously, it's like, I think if Bayern came with 90 plus add-ons, I think Levy would listen.
Would you want that to happen? Would you say that's the best move for it? The best play right now?
It's horrible because, of course, we don't want it to happen. But if it came, if you're going to get 90, you're probably going to get 100 million out of 90 plus add-ons, right? And then stipulations of Dubai or whoever it is get Champions League, did they win a trophy? There's all these bonuses. You'll take it way over 100 mil, right? You have to take that. Like, you literally cannot not take that. Yeah. Unless there is a conversation that, look, here's if we do really well, we get Champions League, you top score, we've won a, you know, whatever which way you could write up a stipulation of like minimum and maximum commitments, that Kane says, okay, cool, I'll stay for a season, but then we have to do this pre-agreement. I'll allow you to sign me for 2, and then that guarantees that Spurs will get money. So all that's all about is like, will Spurs get money for him? If that can happen, which Ben Jacobs was saying they think something like that could happen. I've heard other agents talking about that that's not uncommon. Like, so you'll see like a player signing a new deal, smiling there when they know they're going like the next season.
Caicedo did that, right? Caicedo did that in January.
Yeah, Grealish did that to guarantee that Aston Villa would get minimum 80 million. You know, it's like, so if Kane wants to make the club money before he goes, he can do that. You know, obviously we want him to stay from a point of view of like, if he can stay in, just how amazing could this season be? Although we don't really have massive expectations, but you never know. Like if we do get the targets we get in, you know, we become this solidified strength at the back, and then you've actually got our attack. Magic can happen, you know. And if you've got a manager who like pushes them and you gets it drilled right, anything can happen. But it's like, I think anything can happen with Kane. I think take Kane out. Can Sonny play the 9 right? I have no faith in Richarlison playing the 9 better than Sonny or Kyogo.
But do you not think though, like, because sometimes in an Ange system, your number 9 might not even see the ball for like 10, 15 minutes, you know, at a time. And they're just hovering around like the 6-yard box. They're causing a nuisance for himself. They're leading the press. Is that not like where we want Richarlison, like not on the ball too much, but in and around just to tap the ball home?
I don't know if he does that for Brazil, though. I think he isn't as busy on the ball for Brazil because they've got players who are dribblers and run the lines, you know? Like, they've got a more technical way of allowing him to score goals. I don't think that's the case of how Ange plays, like with the 5 attack, how they make it's all like really clever ghost runs and running angles that to draw players out. You know, like if you watch how Kyogo did it last season, he basically just run circles and defenders, get them so unaware of where he is, and then bang, he's right in the goal. Most of the goals he scored were like in the center, you know, and then he would score some beauty.
Mostly like cutbacks from the wingers, and he was just like in and around. Yeah,
that's it. And then you need wingers, you need people who are technical at like getting to the lane and getting to the front post and back post and manipulating the space like that. So I'm not sure if it would be interesting to see, but that's a huge gamble to think that if Kane goes, Richie can just be the 9, you know, like, because so far we've just not seen that. You know, he's clumsy on the ball, his touch doesn't really
different
work.
System though.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see. I'd much rather see Sonny as a 9, even though I think Sonny will do far too much on the ball every time.
Thing is, I'm much more comfortable with Richarlison in the 9 in this system than maybe in the previous system that we had under Conte and Stellini. I think actually it could suit him more than anything. But I get it. It's like there's a lot of like worries in the fan base of Richarlison because what he did perform last year, he was absolutely shocking, and it's hard to see.
It will be a different for him. And he probably will be way more like how he could play as a 9 in Ange's system. By the way, I think, no matter what, Ange with Kane in the team is gonna have to adapt his way of playing. Like, of course, we can look at how amazing Kane, like the triangles. If you think Kane, Son, and Matters, how they'll play, and then the other side, Kulu, Kane, and Matters, or Kulu, Kane, and Scott, if you get him, or whoever. That's gonna be some pretty incredible, like fast one-touch play that Spurs do well. But it's not really how Ange system works, because that's all in the half spaces, right? And then Kane will turn and score from the half space a worldie, you know? That's not how Ange's system works. So with Kane, Ange will have to adapt to having such a prolific striker, the way the prolific striker plays. With Richie, put him in, just it's a like Lego block, boom, right into how the system works. So I don't know what Ange, obviously, Ange probably think like, no matter what, Harry Kane probably gets you 20, 30 goals. So I'll move this and shuffle the system around. But then who knows, you know? Whereas like, if we don't, and I can just get a number 9 the way I want a number 9 to play, that you don't have to try hard to score goals in that system then. Yeah. So it is interesting. I can see arguments for both of it. And maybe this is just the time for Harry Kane. He's a dynamic 10, false 9. He's a little bit different. You want him to play expansive, counter-attacking, through the line balls, you know. Is that how we want to play? You know, he's been so good for so long because of the way that we've also played. Counter-attack, let Harry put a ball through, you know.
But do you think the bid actually comes though?
From Bayern? I think they'll go 90.
Really? You think they'll go up to 90?
Yeah.
Because they did just sign Kim Min-jae. I'm not sure how much that was for. But I mean, are they really going to spend that much money in one window?
Yeah. I mean, I have no idea what where their budget's at. And they're not really famous for very big signings, like breaking the bank like that.
Once or twice they've done it. That's it.
Yeah. It just depends of how serious they are. I don't really buy that much into the whole like Harry Kane's they've spoke to them. I don't think Harry Kane's said anything. I think Harry Kane is the kind.
You don't think it's a bit telling though that they're putting in offers, because usually like they speak and get feelers out to see if the player's interested before these public offers come in.
Yeah, well, that's Harry Kane's agents going, it's their jobs to sell Harry Kane. Like they have to go around and they're going to say to Harry, like Harry's going to be like, what's happening? You know, until you tell me, I do not care. You know, so Harry's going to continue building his house. He's going to continue for life in England because nothing's real until it's real, right? Like, and so for him, I can see him going, I'm looking forward to preseason. You know, all of the other stuff is my agents and Daniel Levy and whatever the club is. I see Kane as he's such a professional that his mind is just like, I want to score more goals next season. Like, there's matters. Like, this looks kind of attractive all of a sudden. I think he'd just be like, how many assists and goals could I score with matters, you know? Like, and then all the other noise is just his agents saying, give us an offer. You know what I mean? Harry will accept an offer. That's all the personal terms is. Harry's okay if you give us an offer, you know?
Well, I guess this one's probably going to rumble on well into the transfer window right until the end. Probably
all the way.
Yeah. Next up, let's talk about Japhet Tanganga. As Ben Jacobs says that Atalanta and Luton Town have shown interest in the Tottenham defender. I mean, I'd be happy to see Tanganga going, but do you think Atalanta, like he'll get on well in Atalanta, like a top club in the Serie A, or he's more suited to like a Luton?
Is he going to start at Atalanta? I don't know, man. I think they'll be pulling him in as a backup. I'd like to see him at Luton. I think he can do really well at a lower down Prem team. Luton, that's really interesting. Why not? Like, you know, they will.
I always thought that with Tanganga that we didn't do him the best service in his development. Like every other player that was coming through the academy that done well gets a loan spell here, a loan spell there to really kick on and get minutes. You know, Carl Walker did it, Danny Rose did it, Harry Kane did it. I mean, they all did it. And then you've got Tanganga who got shoved into that Liverpool game. Then after that, he's just been like a bit part player here and there. He's never had consistent minutes and he needs it.
Yeah, I would have loved to have seen him go to Italy at that, at the right time, you know, because I look at what Tomori's done and even Smalling and think, Tanganga could have had that success, you know, and it's just, it's just working under the managers he's been under, always being third fiddle, you know, but every time he's come in, he's not been dreadful. It's just sometimes when a player isn't playing and then you drop him in a really big game where one mistake just looks so bad. You know, that's the same thing with Roden as well. It's they've had to come in such big games and then you get made to look like a fool if you make one mistake. Where it's like with Sanchez, it's like consistent. You know, he has a mental issue. You know, he's just consistently being played bad. But I feel for Tanganga, and I think when last season was it Galatasaray or someone in Turkey was after him last season. Yeah. I was thinking, mate, go like. Yeah. We'll probably be coming back in for you like in a couple seasons. Like that was
wasting his career being here. He's absolutely wasting his career. It's a shame.
I can't stand that mentality of like, I'm going to stay and fight for my place. Eric Dyer saying that. It's like, if you know that great defenders are coming in and the fans hate you, you've been, you know, why would you like, look, I'll go and play first team football anywhere. Like, I just want to go and play. Like, why? Like, oh no, I'm going to stay. I like it here. It's comfortable here. Go and play, man. You're a professional footballer. Like, that's how Tanganga, he's surrounded by these types of mind states. Everyone's saying, what are you going to do? Are you going to go? Like, you know, it's like, they're all comfortable. It's like, nah, go and play football. Go to Turkey and like, you know, play in a tough league, you know?
True. Next up, Joe Roden. Ali Gold says that Tottenham defender Joe Roden does have interest from the Premier League and in France as well. So, I mean, he didn't do too well out in Rennes last season. I think like he was doing well at the start and then he got injured, lost his place, never really seemed to regain his place properly. Where do you see Joe Roden's future lying?
It's interesting. It'd be interesting to see who's coming in from the Premier League, but I do think he's the kind of player that if he gets put in a team and they're not like a massive team, but they really rate him and he can be really strong. Like there's been times where I've seen him for Wales where it's like, why does he look like an incredible defender for them? You know, and it's because they treat him like they're like, you are our center back, no matter what, and then he plays really well. Like he's played some really huge games against world-class players and he's done so good. So I think people can see the quality in him. And I think he does deserve to stay, you know, in England, if not the Championship, you know, one of the lower bottom teams, you know.
I could see him going to like a Sheffield United or a Wolves or someone like that maybe play three at the back, that use defending first, not really a very expansive team. I can see him going somewhere like that, but I think it was just a poor signing all around getting Joe Roden in. He's just never got his chance as well. And last but not least, let's talk about Ivan Perisic. Ben Jacobs says that there's been initial contact from Ivan Perisic's camp to Fenerbahce, Al Ittihad and Al Hilal out in Saudi Arabia, but no direct contact with Tottenham as of yet. So it looks like things are starting to move with Ivan Perisic.
Will he just go on a free then? Is he... Yeah,
I mean, the guy's on like 180 grand a week, so I think it's just worth it just to get the wages off the book.
Yeah, and that's for someone like him who's had the career he's had. He's a perfect kind of like ideal player to go to the Saudi Arabia League.
Yeah,
you know, because he's done everything. Like, why does he have to wear? You know, I don't know about Fenerbahce. If I was him, I'd be taking that money. Go and get that money. Finish your career off. You know, just have a good time, finish your career off there. There's going to be loads of big names out there. It's going to be watched. Go and enjoy yourself.
With the likes of Perisic, Sessegnon and Reguilon, there's links of all of them going. I mean, who do you see as left backup next year? Is it Mickey van de Ven or do we need to buy someone specifically for that role?
This is why Van de Ven is so appealing, because he's a great left centre back and he's a great left back. So Udogie and Van de Ven. Like I can see someone like Van de Ven playing every single game for us because he can play, and Udogie playing, and when Udogie can't play, he just moves off to the left. You know, he's fast. I would be interested to see how fast he is in the squad compared to other players because he's fast. Like he doesn't look like
his future, like because you see players like sometimes at this stage of their career really good at left back, really good at left centre back. Do you think like he will specialize in one of them moving forward, or do you think he'll always be a kind of like hybrid of the two?
I would hope that he comes and he's like a proper specialist left centre back. It's just because he's got like such speed and he's really good on the ball. Like I've seen some of his like crosses and some of his little dribbling it's really like, impressive. And so if Udogie plays a whole season, then great. Have him at left centre back. Have Tapsoba next to him.
And then Adarabioyo backing them up with Cuti Romero.
Yeah. That's the thing. I mean, I'd love to see that back line. But yeah, I think if you can get money for Reggie, just get money. You know, if you can get money for if you get any money for Session, like snap the hand off. You know, because that's just been our longest running sick note. It's just that the kind of the letdown of that player is just for what we thought he was going to play like, and it's just never happened. And anytime he got anywhere near to finding some form, his hamstring would go. Yeah, so it's just I would be surprised with teams coming in for him going, how much is he playing? Like.
Yeah, I mean, there's so much work to do. I mean, I think that we're going to do a lot of work, but I still think come the first day of the season or in the end of transfer window, there's still going to be a lot more work still that needs to be done. So I'm under no illusion that it's going to take this summer window and next summer window to get to exactly where probably Ange wants to be. But I don't know. How many centre-backs do you reckon we'll have by the end of the window? How many do you reckon we'll sign?
I'm hoping that we sign the three that we're looking at. I really hope we get them.
We'll actually get all three in.
I'd love to get all three in. And because you can get all three for like 70 odd million, like I don't think that's the world's worst thing.
Yeah, but this is brains talking. I'm talking about what do you think actually Tottenham are actually going to do? Do you think we're actually going to do it?
If they're saying like, look, we can't have Sanchez in the team anymore, we can't have Roden, we can't have Tanganga, then if you're getting rid of those three, you kind of have to bring in three. Like,
because Roden was on loan last season, wasn't he?
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and if Dyer is going to be the only one that we keep a centre back, Dyer and Romero, I would hope that we would get Dyer out maybe in the January window, because I think if he's just sitting on the bench gathering dust, I think he'll finally wake up to like, okay, I got to go. But if we've got 5 centre backs and those 3 are in, and then you got Dyer and Romero, that's strong. That's really strong. I would love that to be the case. And I'm just hoping that, like, we're hearing things now about players have offers coming in, which is really, it's good to hear. I'm just hoping that we can get them out. But why would we be looking at these types of centre backs at this price? Those 3, you get them all for 80 mil. Like, why would we be looking at that so intensely? And then hearing offers already come in for other centre backs. Like, it looks to me like that would be the sensible thing. It doesn't seem like it's a mental thing.
That's why we never do the sensible thing. But maybe this is the summer. But
last seasons we were always looking at like one player, 60 to 80 million. We're thinking about Bremer, Gvardiol, Bastoni. We were never going to get that. One player. This is like we're getting 3 potential long-term great players for 80 mil. I say that's like that's incredible business. So for me, it looks like it could happen just because it seems to be great business. Levy likes doing great business, and it seems to hit all the stats that they've been looking at, and all the players want to be here. I don't see the problem then. The clubs want to talk and deal with us as well. So yeah, it seems like it could happen.
All right, well, let's see how it rumbles on. Brains, thank you so much for coming on today, my friend, and we'll see you all very soon. Like, subscribe, and comment, and as always, come on, you Spurs.